Hello everyone, welcome back to TPM X My Drone Tech Festival. So for our first sharing session, I would like to welcome Mr. William Alvisse from MUDAS to talk about CAAM rules and regulation.
Good morning, thank you, Farhan. It's been a long while in terms of getting a lot of confidence and also working with CAAM. We in MUDAS, we have been with CAAM even before that DCA since about 2015, and we have always advocated for the need for controls in the airspace, primarily because it is necessary. A lot of pilots come to us and always ask us, why do we need to be having a license or things like that? I normally say, when you go up and fly, you are flying amongst other drone pilots as well, and you have to have the necessary controls to be able to work well and fly well together. I want to take you through a batch of slides. It may be a little bit complicated, but it's quite necessary. We had a session most recently in July, actually, where CAAM actually forwarded us with some some directions towards drones, regulatory and regulations and regulatory requirements for the industry. And let's hop on to the slides here. I want to show you this one here. In terms of the global regulatory framework, we are, as you can see here, we have basically three stages that I always talk about. We have the global part, which is under ICAO, ESA, the European Union, and also with Malaysian part. We always follow the European system because we are Malaysia, we are Commonwealth system. We seem to have more on the following the ESA standards rather than the FAA, the USA. So ICAO here, for the Chicago Convention, everyone is governed by this, and then it goes down to the to the purposes of all aviation activities that need to be everyone needs to adhere to. Another important organization that I want to point out is Jaros. Jaros is actually a very loose body of a lot of commercial and also regulatory partners around the world, and they actually come together to work towards drone rule making in the global environment. In fact, the rules are still very dynamic, and we shall see some points that I'd like to talk about. So in Malaysia, we are governed by the regulatory framework of the CAR 2016 publication, which actually CAAM looks after. And CAAM, as we know it, came out actually from DCA in the old days, and it was established in 2018, February 2018, where they actually became a privatized body in a way, which is actually they are an authority in itself. They're technically mandated by Parliament directly. All right. So in CAAM's agenda, it is very simple. It is all about airworthiness and flight operations. The safety of the airspace is actually paramount. And this is an old slide that I had during the DCA times. If you look at the aviation law in CR 2016, you have a lot of distance rules here, which I won't go into directly right now. And I have to put this point up here for there are a lot of penalties and enforcements that will be addressed if drone operators are not compliant. So in a way, we as drone operators, we have to be compliant, and that is very important. All right. So in July, we had Taklimat Hala 7 or Directional Policy on the rules of UAS in Malaysia, and the topics that were discussed was, we looked at the agenda here that came out on from CAAM, talked about the new CAAM UAS regulations, and also the importance of having a UTM, an unmanned aircraft system traffic management system. All right. So these are the parts and responsibilities for all authorities. Like for instance, the 5 components. E-registration is important. Airspace, airworthiness, operational authorization, traffic monitoring and conformance and auditing. In other words, the responsibilities of CAAM encompass almost everything from the time you actually own a drone. What we're looking at is in the future that they will actually be registered. Everyone will need to have their drones registered. And this is the timeline that we were given. We're looking at full system operations from 2020 onwards, 2022. Everything should be up and running. So there is actually quite a lot of items here, as you can see. Immediately, I think in the beginning of next year, 2021, I think the first step would be for the drone registrations. That's important. Everyone needs to register their drones. That is very, very important. And this slide here is on the traffic management system, the UAS traffic management system, which is very important. Right now, the navigational system, that anyone can use any system, no problem. But I think in the future there will be 1 or 2 navigation systems that will be very, very important for all of us to follow. This is it's just like having air control for itself, for aeroplanes, for manned aircraft. We have it for drones itself. All right. Fees and charges. This is a very interesting point for a lot of for the drone industry. Right now, each permit per drone, per location is about 250 ringgit. And I think the fees are going to be different soon. It depends on, as you can see from the slide here that they have given us, there will be some changes. All right. All right. Right now, during those days, we used to actually have 2 types of drone operators. We have the drone operators who are recreational in nature, and the second type of drone operators which are commercial in nature. However, right now, CAAM is looking at it in 3 different categories. If you look at it, we have certified, we have specific, and we have open. Now, let's just look at the graph here. As you can see, open is basically those people who are in the recreation area. They are very, anyone who generally owns a drone, who wants to do a fly through, they can, as long as they adhere to the rules, including registering, they can actually operate a drone quite well, keep within the rules that just now Encik Manu was showing the 10 guidelines. That is very important. Specific is actually the yellow bar there. That is, I think, what concerns all of us in the industry. This is the part where you will have a lot of drone commercial operators operating in here. The last one, the blue one, certified, this is actually a very high level type of drones, which actually do require PPL or special licensing. This is very, very high in its category. Now, before that, I want to show you the differences here. Now, for open, the key criteria is that it would be a mandatory registration. Now, this is very important. I think this is something that we all agree on, and the MTOM, or the maximum takeoff mass, is actually below 25 kg. So that's very important, and all the other items there, you can actually refer. It is generally those who are in the in the recreational, or even those who are doing some commercial operations, they can also use this on a limited basis. The key part here is that it has to be VLOS. VLOS is visual line of sight. That means you must at all times see the drones. The next part here, which for me, I feel this is the most important part for us because it's under the drone industry, specific. Specific is basically, there are some criteria in here which do not fulfill the open category. That means if you're upgrading yourself from a commercial operator to, from an amateur to a commercial operator, and you want to actually bring in big projects and things like that, you have to look into specific. Now this is where all the verticals comes in, all the applications, those who are in the construction, industry, oil and gas, even the plantations, all of these are necessary, inspections, all of this will be necessary here. Now the important point which I've figured out in red is Sora, which I will talk to you in a little bit. But before that, I want to talk to you about licensing. Now this is important. Like UAS certificate, they call it LUC. This is the exact slide from CAAM. So it's important to note that if you want to progress, you will definitely need the LUC. And this is something which we in MUDAS are working closely with CAAM to see what are the details, what are the fine details, how we can actually work with them closely to see how we can help and benefit the community and also our association members as well. All right. Just now when I showed you the specific part there, a very important point here is the Sora. Why is Sora so important? Sora is basically risk assessment. Now, for any drone operations, it could be different in its nature. You have different methodologies that you have in your operations. You need to actually present this to CAAM and tell them about your scope of work and how you can work your operation in a harmonized way so that safety is top of the list. And a little bit more, this is a semantic model of Sora itself. It's basically looking at the operational control, and that means the airworthiness part is very critical. All right, that's very important. And also look at the risks that are on the ground and also the risks that are in the air. Now a chart showing this is a very good idea of basically how you operate in your flight geography. So there's a lot of terminologies that you may come across into this. Basically the green zone would be your operational zone and the yellow zone would be the contingency volume. So this area is basically whichever area that you're operating in, you have to have safeguards and mitigating factors that need to be included in any particular operation that you do, because you don't want to have any injury or damage that would be detrimental. All right. So the Sora process, basically you have it in point form here. I've actually just detailed it here. So you have the concept of operation. Basically, explain yourself in terms of how your operation is going to be, what's your objective of your operation and everything. Then you determine the ground risk and the air risk, and you actually present the mitigations for the risks that are prevalent in any particular work part there. Then later on, you go to the robustness and the TMPR. They call it these are all charts and graphs and calculations which you need to do. It goes into SAIL, which is a specific assurance and integrity level. I'll show you a sample of that chart after this. And in the end of this, when all these criteria are met, the objectives of Sora are met, you present it to CAAM, they look at it, and if all okay, then you'll get your permit. So this is a very important process. And again, why is it so important? It is for this reason. It is in every application for any aerial works that you do. This is actually a bit of the permit that you have to actually fill in. You can see all the criteria. So you have to fill this in and you have to actually give a picture of what's happening. So it's very straightforward. And also, this area, you have 4 areas that you have blocked off. You have the green, what do you call it, the activity areas, and also the buffer areas that you put in through, and also the hazard, what do you call it, the blue zone is the boundary zone. So it looks something like that. So in other words, you have to go on a KMZ file using Google Earth and come up with something like this. I'll detail a little bit more Google Earth in my presentation with JUPAM afterwards. All right. So this is an idea of how the chart would look, and you have to quantify it in a way that is measurable. So this is very important. So the test of robustness would be the level of integrity, level of assurance. When we say level of assurance, it means that if you have whatever operations that you have and it's certified by a third party, even better, that increases your level of or your test for robustness. That's very important. So the last point, which is certified, I don't think I want to go much into it because that's really above our pay grade, but it's basically a full oversight by CAAM. That's very important. So this is a sum up of this. We will share all these slides online as well, and like to thank you all for this sharing. And we have any questions, Farhan?
All right, thank you so much, William. So I think the sharing by William, I think, is very, very extensive, and I think it is something that is really, really important for the public to actually know what they're doing out there. And because at this point of time, there are over 200 commercial drone operators in Malaysia alone, and based on our figure, there could be like tens of thousands of drone hobbyists out there.
Yes.
So does this regulation applies to them as well?
Yes, and can I just mention one thing? I think afterwards our Sarah will actually mention to you. The key point is whatever drones you buy, if you're running on commercial operations, make sure you have your MCMC sticker on it. That is very, very critical, very, very important. And sometimes you see some drones may cost cheaper, but if you don't have the MCMC certificate, then it can be very difficult for you if you want to take the next step. So you got to, if you're a commercial operator, you got to up your game. You got to raise the standard that you have, and have all this in place. And I would say the last point that is very important is actually get yourself protected. When I say that, buy insurance for yourself, because as a drone operator, one of the critical factors is that whenever we fly in UAS, there are no guarantees that the drone will come back safely. So we gotta protect ourselves, our businesses. You can easily take up drone insurance packages that would actually safeguard you and your company. So this is, I would say, I can't emphasize on it even more than that.
All right, I think, thank you so much, William. I think from the public side, I think it is really important for everyone to understand the risk that you guys are in whenever you guys are operating your drones. You know, be it if you are hobbyists, even if you are commercial drone players. And out there at this point of time, there are a lot of training centers, such as MUDAS as well.
Yes.
You know, if they want to learn all those, how can MUDAS assist?
You see, in 2018, we came up with the curriculum for drone piloting. We worked with with JPK, and this is under the Human Resources Ministry. We actually went to the government and can you see that? And we actually showed So this is the drone piloting curriculum, which there were 12 members here. There was from industry and also from, here you are, industry, and also from MCMC, CAAM, and JUPAM, who were involved in this one. So this particular one is actually the core curriculum. So what needs is that all the Pusat Batalia, all the training centers in Malaysia, in the country, I would encourage you to take this up and convert it into your own whim or the written instruction manuals that you can actually roll out to the community, especially for our young pilots. We have so many countless pilots out there who are very well, they are very established pilots. They are very talented, they can fly well, but they don't have the certification. And if you're going into industry, you need to have some paper to say that I'm a certified drone pilot, and this would be the pathway for the up and rising when you're coming up from SPM or things like that. So this is something, even if you're becoming any competency, like if you're becoming a chef or a cook or whatever, or going into any desired field, mechanical competency field, you still need to have some time, and this is equivalent to a diploma actually, the SKM2 and SKM3.
All right, William, before we go to the next session, there's these two questions almost similar from our YouTube channel. Right. So from Headstream, Sinan Berhad, as well as Siddiq Rafi. So they're asking, how about current drone operator certificate that we already have can convert to LUC? And then Siddiq Rafi is saying, is this LUC applied for every flight or one time?
Okay, thanks for asking that question. Now, end of the day, CAAM needs to answer that question. I can't answer that question for you directly, but what I can say is that the permits that we have here is based, it is not a license, it is based on your work, the work operation that you do. In other words, it's a bit, this is the way it is in our country right now. Whenever you want to fly, you need to apply for a permit. But we in MUDAS are working towards the licensing with with CAAM, and hopefully CAAM will come up. They have already come up with the LUC. I think that will be the pathway. And as an association under MUDAS, please let us know. Join us. Come to us, and we will actually help you, guide you on your operations. Especially, I know there are a lot of commercial drone operators out there who are flying now, and they are flying without permits. Now, the point is this: sooner or later, you need to actually take up the permits wherever you fly. So this is not if, but when. So it's better that you all get on board and do the necessary compliance where it's necessary, where it comes into JUPAM. I'll talk about that, JUPAM and also CAAM, all the necessary permits. This will actually protect you, especially when you're taking up the insurance part. You need some kind of certificate or the permits, so that whatever jobs that you're undertaking, you actually covered. Sometimes when you fly in anywhere, and then you have the enforcement officers coming and saying, where's your JUPAM permit or where's your CAAM permit? So these are things that are important. But what we have been trying to do is that we're trying to, one of our wish lists, Farhan, is actually to have like a one-stop center where we can have the drone operators just coming in and saying that they have an operation that they want to do, and could we do it in an easy manner where it's a one-stop agency. This is something actually the industry really needs. We've been trying very much to work towards that, but we're dealing with different agencies, and it's a complicated process right now. But even I have been doing permits, been helping a lot of companies for many years now. It is a complicated process. If I'm saying it's complicated, how would it be for a typical drone operator? It is extremely complicated.
Understood. But I think moving forward, as I've mentioned earlier, because based on the latest announcement by CAAM as the lead agency for drone US moving forward, I think they have been really progressive and supporting the industry by announcing the phases implementation and adaptation of the EASA's regulation. Yes. So I think we are really looking forward to that, and I think from the industry's side as well as the commercial side and the hobby side, what we need to do at this point of time is to understand and study those documents so that we would know what to do within the next few years to be able to adapt to what's changing in the landscape at this point of time.
Yeah, we really look forward to that. The idea of having a kind of a sit down with industry. I remember when FAA did the Part 107, they actually had a roundtable and they had a lot of engagement with not just the industry but also different partners. It could be the academics, it could be the recreational drone operators. You know, anyone who has a say in who may want to do drones, who want to fly drones later. Now, when we talk about drones, my estimate is that in a very short period of time, every company in this country or every Sendirian Berhad will have a drone in the cabinet. That is how important drones are to us. And
exactly.
the types of applications, the verticals that you use, it's uncanny. You have so many types of drones right now for different purposes. I'm just waiting to see roof inspections. I mean, that's something that is actually very popular in the States and also in the UK, where you have a small drone operator just engaging his services to homeowners to fly and inspect their roofs. So this actually cuts out a lot of hazards for the workmen to actually go up, and of course the homeowner will be able to have a look at his roof and not just listen to a third-party contractor.
Exactly, William. And I think moving forward in this industry, whoever wants to come into the industry and learn, you can come forward and meet us in MDAC or go meet MUDAS or whoever, or even you can go to TPM, because there are companies currently in TPM that does drone services and drone technology development. So do come to the agencies, do come to the associations, do go to the companies before you go into the business to understand what are the requirements, what are the risks, what are the things that you need to know, you need to do before you go into the market. I think that's the best way for everyone to go into the industry.
Definitely. You need to, number one, look at the safety aspect. Safety is very important. Safety is very important. Whatever you do, a lot of photography companies actually, they are actually going into drones as well, flying drones. Like talking about wedding, a lot of wedding photographers who actually have their own Phantom 4s, they go up, or the Mavics, they go up and they take. Now, you must understand that every time you fly, technically you do need a permit to fly. A lot of people say, oh, I'm just flying for this purpose, that purpose and everything. Now, the reason why everyone needs a permit to fly is basically CAAM really needs to know who is flying where. And end of the day, we don't want any collisions, especially between unmanned aircraft and manned aircraft. We have a rule, and the golden rule is that stay below 400 feet, do not go higher, do not go into areas that you're not supposed to. I must emphasize areas like KLCC. This is actually under Sasaran Penting, under CGSO. So that area is a restricted area as much as areas in Putrajaya is also a restricted area. You can't just go in and fly drones simply. So you need to take the number of precautions, and you need to be aware, because there are a lot of risks involved. And you got to adhere to the requirements and be compliant. And once you're compliant, the harmonization of a drone operator, if that's where you want to be, it's so important. So you got to look after the craft, the airworthiness part, and you got to look after yourself as a drone operator. You have to upskill yourself, and you have to see what are the things that you need to do to be able to advance. So that's very, very straightforward. I look forward to any emails that do come in. I think we'll post our emails, so you can email to Farhan as well, and we will continue this discussion.
Yes. I think that's all the time we have for this session. And I have this one question from Encik Najmi Tamseh, asking that if someone buys a drone directly from overseas, how to get confirmation from CRIM and MCMC. And I think that is something that our next speaker, will be sharing with us later.
Yes, so I'll let Sarah answer that question.
All right, because we will have our experts in this area, which is a representative from CAAM, which will talk about drone certification, understanding that requirements. So later we'll be together with Encik Ahmad Amzah Hanis bin Ahmad Zaki. So stay tuned, don't go anywhere, and wait for us. All right, see you later.